Hello everyone. There seems to be a war between Texas and Chicago. Texas sent a plane full of undocumented immigrants to Chicago's O'Hare Airport. And Mayor Brandon Johnson is not at all happy about it. On one hand, there's Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. And on the other hand, there's Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago. The two elected officials are very different. Governor Abbott supports border security, and Mayor Brandon Johnson supports sanctuary city policy for illegal immigrants. Texas has been sending buses full of migrants to sanctuary cities like Chicago, and Mayor Brandon Johnson seems to be failing to handle the pressure in Chicago. His city has no room. The city of Chicago has run out of housing options. There's no more room for undocumented immigrants. And remember, Mayor Brandon Johnson's plan to house migrants at a shelter in Brighton Park, that plan has failed. That plan has not moved forward. Construction did start, but then construction came to an end. And that entire plan is gone. It's not happening. And so, for a variety of reasons, Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago is very upset. And also, let me remind you, he's also very unpopular. Mayor Brandon Johnson is not popular. Even some of his supporters are not at all happy with his performance. Brandon Johnson was elected by the people of Chicago to address problems such as homelessness, poverty, and crime. But once elected, he is busy representing the undocumented immigrants rather than the legal residents of Chicago. Recently, Mayor Brandon Johnson announced that the city will be taking actions against buses that drop off migrants without following the city of Chicago's rules. The city of Chicago has come up with rules for the buses to drop migrants off, and any bus that violates the rules may face penalties. Chicago has also impounded buses carrying migrants. And so, what did Governor Greg Abbott decide to do? Let me tell you what he decided to do. He sent a plane full of migrants to Chicago's O'Hare Airport. And there may be more planes heading to Chicago and perhaps heading to other sanctuary cities and states. Who knows? We have to wait and see. And this can all happen without any prior notice or announcement. The Brandon Johnson administration seems to be very disturbed by this new development. Very disturbed, very worried, it seems to me. But the question is, should they be disturbed? If there's a sanctuary city, and if the city leaders, they treasure that sanctuary city designation, and the city leaders hold on to the sanctuary city label, then why should that city be upset when Texas sends a plane full of migrants to Chicago? I mean, Chicago, the city of Chicago, is still a sanctuary city, and Mayor Johnson and his administration, they have not taken the steps to remove that sanctuary city label. And so, what Governor Greg Abbott is deciding is doing is just sending migrants to the sanctuary city of Chicago. I cannot blame Governor Greg Abbott. He is doing what Chicago liberals have always wanted. They wanted Chicago to be a sanctuary for undocumented immigrants, and Governor Greg Abbott is simply sending more undocumented immigrants to this sanctuary city. Texas, on the other hand, is not a sanctuary for undocumented immigrants. And Texas still has been suffering a lot because it's a border state. Illinois is far away from the southern border, but Texas is a border state. And so as undocumented immigrants have been pouring into the United States, Texas has been severely hurt by this crisis. So what Governor Greg Abbott is doing makes sense. That is, he is sending migrants to sanctuary cities where liberals would gladly welcome them. And so why is Mayor Brandon Johnson upset? What is he going to do now? Let me ask you this. Make a guess. What is Mayor Brandon Johnson going to do now? His administration has impounded buses. What is he going to do about planes carrying migrants to Chicago? You make a guess. Let me know your thoughts, okay? On Tuesday of this week, it's Thursday. As I'm recording this episode, it's Thursday. It's December the 21st. On Tuesday of this week, a flight carried approximately 100 migrants from El Paso to Chicago. All that Brandon Johnson can now do, I think, all that he can now do is wait for more flights carrying migrants from Texas to Illinois. The mayor of Chicago says that Texas governor is determined to create chaos. No, no, no. That's not true. Let me tell you what the truth is. The chaos has been created by the Biden administration. The chaos at the southern border is the result of the Biden administration and the support that the administration got from liberals like Mayor Brandon Johnson. There's chaos at the southern border because the Biden administration is not taking steps to secure the border. If Mayor Brandon Johnson really wants to do the right thing, then he should come out and say that the city of Chicago will no longer be a sanctuary city. Is he going to do that? Is Mayor Brandon Johnson going to do that? Is he going to remove the sanctuary city label from Chicago? Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what he does. But for now, this flight carrying migrants, it has been a big surprise. It has been a big surprise for Chicago city officials. Maybe surprise is not the right word. It has been a big shock. It has been a big shock for the Chicago city liberals. My friends, how do you think the Chicago city officials are going to react? Will Chicago take steps to try to stop Governor Abbott from sending more migrants to Illinois by plane? We have to wait and see. But let me tell you what's happening at the southern border. On Monday, at the Eagle Pass border in Texas, a record number of close to 13,000 people came in. It's a flood of migrants at the southern border. The Border Patrol agents cannot keep up with such a massive influx. There's overwhelming flood of migrants entering the United States. Here's a question that I'm going to ask you. Think about it and answer. Think about this question that I think we must all ask ourselves. Do we have a border? The United States of America. Does America have a border? Every country has a border. A big country, a small country, a powerful country, a developing country. Countries have borders. Do we, as the United States of America, do we have a border? And if we do have a border, why is it not secure? Why is it not secure? Why is the southern border not secure? Why is it that foreign nationals can just come in through the southern border without any visa, without any legal permit? They can just walk across the border and enter the United States. Why is this happening? Why is it that over 6 million undocumented immigrants have entered the United States since 2021? Let me tell you why. It's because the Biden administration is not securing the southern border. The administration has an open border policy. How long is this going to go on? Just think about the seriousness of the crisis that we are facing as a country. If you're listening to me right now, I want you to think about the difference between legal and illegal pathways to enter the United States. Through the legal pathway, which is a proper pathway, immigrants have to be patient. Immigrants have to wait for their turn. Immigrants have to go through background check. They have to complete lots of paperwork. But all that work, all that process leads to a stable life. The process gives immigrants a strong foundation. They can work, they can pay taxes, and they can have legal status and pursue happiness. But through the illegal pathway, the migrants get a life of uncertainty. There's constant fear of deportation. And we have already seen how severely the children of undocumented immigrants suffer as they enter a life of uncertainty. A few migrant children have died after coming to the United States, and this is tragic. It's a tragedy. And it is the responsibility of the U.S. government to secure the southern border and to stop the influx of undocumented immigrants. And because the federal government, the Biden administration is failing to take action, the state of Texas is doing what it can do to prevent illegal immigration. In a previous podcast episode, I talked about Senate Bill 4. This is in Texas. Senate Bill 4, which makes illegal immigration a state crime in the state of Texas. This new law is supposed to go into effect in March, but we have to see what happens. Will there be legal challenges? Will the law be able to withstand legal challenges? We have to wait and see. But we know one thing for sure, that Texas is doing something. They are taking steps, but the Biden administration is doing nothing. The Biden administration is not securing the southern border. And so the state of Texas is trying to do what it can to combat illegal immigration. My friends, thank you for continuing to listen to my podcast. Please connect with me. Go to tausifanam.net. Send me a message. Sign up for my e-newsletter. Check out my blog. Check out my published opinions. You can also connect with me on social media. Thanks again. And I hope to be back again soon with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.